Okay, this is a toolkit lesson about circular business models. This will help you when you do your project on the three pillars of sustainability when we're looking at the ecological piece. And so circular business models, again, as a toolkit item, are a newer kind of concept and a newer area within the syllabus for IB. This one does not have an AO4, even though it's a toolkit. Every toolkit typically makes you draw something and then analyze. This is an AO2 because we just have 5 different types of circular business models, and they need you to be able to analyze them and understand them and distinguish between them. And so we are going to talk a little bit about where this background info comes from. Traditional business models typically have been very linear. We look at financials, economic sustainability. We are looking at profits, costs, revenue, keeping costs down, being efficient, really that economic sustainability piece from the three pillars of sustainability. It really is more of a short-term outlook. It looks at a disposable society. As we, again, have become more aware of how businesses can impact the environment and carbon footprints, we are looking now maybe at more circular business models. And not every business, obviously, focuses on this, but there are businesses out there that really are truly looking at how can they be environmentally conscientious, how can they focus on ecological sustainability, and this is more of a long-term outlook. So again, just briefly, traditional linear models look at money. Circular business models are going to look at how do we help save our planet through the process. So when you are doing your project, you will be looking at ecologically if they're using any type of circular business model. At this point, I want you to pause this screen and I want you to read through the 5 types. This is from the In Thinking site. And I want you to take a moment to read through these and try to understand them before I talk further about them. After reading, I'm guessing you are seeing some overlaps between some of this information, especially our circular supply models and the resource recovery models. So let's distinguish between those two first as we move through the lesson. Here are the models again in just a different visual for you to have as a study guide. All right, so our circular supply model really focuses on the entire supply chain. So when you think of supply chain management, we have not done that yet, but supply chain management truly looks at primary sector all the way to end user. So how is the product being extracted, raw materials, resources being used through the manufacturing process, through the transportation, and how it is being shipped and transported to its final destination. And the goal here is to have it go towards the recycling when it's past its useful life or even extra materials, as opposed to the waste in the landfill. So the concept is how can the entire supply chain have this circular supply model where less is going into the landfill, but how can we minimize maybe truckloads and gas and fuel as we are driving? How are we using our materials and excess materials? Are we being lean with that? The entire supply chain is looked at, and the concept here is less should go to the final landfill as opposed to can we buy back? Can we get things back? Will we take things back and use them again? And so really trying to close that circle as opposed to sending everything to landfills. But it also does go through all of these processes as well. So, you're looking at manufacturers and how they are lean with their production. Is there going to be a lot of waste? Do I reuse materials? And again, how many trucks do I have on the road? Am I shipping packages in an inefficient manner? How am I fitting things into my trucks? And so that is your circular supply model. When we look at the resource recovery model, this is a little bit smaller. It's similar in the fact that you're looking at how can I turn products into something usable again. So if I'm producing something, making something, somebody has it. How can I then have customers, maybe bring it back or recycle it so I can reuse this product again? So we're taking resources and we're trying to recover them into a new product. This would fall in circular supply models as part of that supply chain towards the end of it. But I will say supply, the circular supply models are bigger. We will learn about cradle to cradle manufacturing in Unit 5.3 very soon. And when we learn about that cradle to cradle manufacturing, that is how can we get products to avoid landfills again and be remade and reimagined into something else. And so that is the resource recovery model. Product life extension models fall on the product life cycle. So we've talked product life cycle in marketing where you look at the life cycle of one product and its sales over time. And we look at how can we extend the life of this product so it actually lasts longer, as opposed to having, again, this disposable society where every couple weeks I'm getting something new, or every like we think of like fast fashion, and oftentimes that it wears out and there's holes in it pretty quickly because the quality is so bad. How can we extend the life of this instead? So oftentimes looking at like repairing or reconditioning, maybe refurbishing products, renovating certain things. I think about a lot of like technology companies that have software updates that renew the life of their product. So instead of me having to go out and buy a new phone every year, every couple of years, these these updates renew the life of the product to help me keep it longer so less products go into the landfills. All right, sharing models, pretty simple. Sharing models are how do we get customers to share things that typically have low ownership? Products are used only once or not often. And we think customers have to purchase all their own items so they can share them, reducing the amount being produced, reducing the amount of materials that are maybe extracted in the primary sector, reducing the entire supply chain. So some examples are Uber, the sharing, the car sharing, ride sharing apps that are out there. Airbnbs, you think about people have properties, even hotels, where you have these areas where more people will cycle through them without having one for everybody. I see the scooters around here. I don't believe they're Lime scooters, but there's the scooters around here in town. Another great example of a sharing model. Product service system model. Okay, this one is about how can we get customers to use services that provide the same value and the same quality to us as things that used to be goods before. So this shows us a situation where I used to watch DVDs. I actually used to watch VHSs, which I have on our innovation table. Used to watch DVDs, those just to produce them, to make them, to put them out there, and then to just throw them away eventually at the end of their life is wasteful. So when you think of Netflix's model where they used to ship DVDs, I'm sorry, I used to watch DVDs, not CDs. Um, when you look at Netflix's model, they used to ship them. Now I can watch Netflix straight from my TV, and we see this product service system model. You can think of Spotify. You can think of Disney Plus. I can't tell you how many old Disney movies I have sitting in my basement in boxes of movies that I had to buy to have. But now you have these streaming services. And so the concept is if they don't need to be produced, it should help in terms of the ecological footprint. These places are housed in buildings like in software and cloud and things that definitely do have impacts on the environment. But I will say that the concept is how do we get less of these end products into landfills? All right, so circular business models being an AO2, you really want to know what they are, especially know what they are. Positives, negatives of businesses using the circular kind of business model perspective, more of that long-term outlet as opposed to going to that short-term, you know, drive on economic sustainability. And so if you could brainstorm a couple of advantages and disadvantages of businesses going in this route of circular business models, um, prior to class and jot those down, that would be great. All right, that is it for this lesson.